here is the potential for what was a very much a re-energized OXG.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it, and you also see their percentages hooping up a little bit. I believe that when we were checking the Twitch predictions, at some point it was 20% Oxygen versus the Makers game, so those
stepped up a bit. I mean,
they stepped up a bit.
7-0, a team that's already beat all the other NA teams.
SSG, yeah, you know, just a bit before they beat SSG, so sure, they are going to be skyrocketing up as we get the first ban in. There's going to be many more to come. 3 to be exact, so going to see which ones are not going to be allowed to play today on the playing field. And the Nomad is the second one to be removed.
Severely limits what this map can offer. It becomes a bit of a juggernaut around those red stairs especially. Yeah. You will see pressure towards white when you're taking across the top, and you know, some teams will set up for the angles, try and catch somebody on the rotation on the loose side, but 9 times out of 10 for a lot of teams, that attack, that build up across the top floor, across the middle, generally starts around red, generally starts around cigar. Nomad being able to limit that is a big removal in this case. The others, it's pretty step for step, it's pretty standard. You're thinking of Wumai, you're thinking of the Capital bolts from above. Potentially it's rarer, but now it has an option. You're thinking of Pixel, you're thinking of all the little rooms if you're attacking kitchen, around VIP, around coat room, around the small bacon prep as well. It just sort of encompasses a bit of a looser style to it.
It will indeed. Oxygen here will be starting off on their attacks again as the ban phase has concluded. Kitchen service, kitchen cooking will be the first site we are going to. Spacestation starting it off on the defense. They are the ones that set up the castle. Try and fortify themselves and make sure they have everything that they need. As the Valkyrie gets 6 picked in, a bit of information. Now, what we saw from Cyclops yesterday on this map was a lot of spawn peaks, you could almost say. They really took the fight to the outside, making sure that their opponents would need a full minute to try and get inside. That was aided by the Valkyrie. Now, I'm not going to say Space Station Gaming is like the same team as Cyclops, but it gives you the opportunity to see what these Valkyrie camps can achieve. Space Station will be placing them a little bit more inside. That will be to a drone, potentially go for a retake off the first floor if you lose control of it due to the importance of the verticality that is going to be there. So as we see those Valkyrie cams to be placed here and there over the map, keep in mind that that is to either guide the roamers who will be active from here from the start, or to re-guide a retake of that top floor.
I'll be honest, I don't see a massive bit of comparison between APAC playing this versus how these NA teams
there is not.
I think APAC, they were in a do-or-die game and they went all guns blazing against an EU team. Here, this is 2 NA teams that know each other very well. Sure, there's still a lot to play for, but you know, they're building their maneuverability inside. If you're going to highlight those stairs, you've obviously got the big hop over by pillars. It's dangerous to get to Brown, but either way, it can be rewarded if you have that intel, if you have that bit of a clear in comparison. And Mud, or Coat even, is where we're going to start to see this approach. Round and dropped instantly. Nade is the first to try and suffer, but it's actually Canadian locked off on the opposite side, and Yoga has found his way inside the site. Foxay's got the cover on the plant, and SSG has tried to drop back round. It is well held and well locked down here as Yoga gets the diffuser down in the opening 20 seconds or so. There's one more. Okino has that long-range cover across the bottom of the white stairs there. It's one more attempt at a rotation down, but SSG has entirely found themselves lost in what was put down here.
So well read here by Oxygen, finding out that there is only 1 or 2 men on site, and they just take control of it, get that planted down, I believe 30 seconds into the round or something. And now it's Fultz in a 1v3 retake situation, has the opportunity to pick up Bosco. Will not want to go for that yet as he's under heavy pressure, and as a result, Oxygen able to pick up that first round very quickly here. Now, we made jokes about them speed running the previous map, but this is definitely a speed run into the first round. And, well, if there's any round you're going to do it, then do it in that first one. No one will expect you to be that quick off the get-go. And you have it 40 seconds in when the entry comes through, and within the minute the bomb is planted. And the countdown starts ticking. Oxygen, really great start right here. They're showing that they're not ready to go home yet. That they are going to do everything that is necessary to beat Space Station Gaming here to complete Plan A.
Honestly, the way they had that locked down there, Kino had the body inside and covering that split down towards the bottom and the back of Freezer. That is the usual way back into the site. They had that watch. Yoga with the pitch-perfect angle as well to make sure any rotation attempted towards Kafe was covered. They could have potentially gone the other way, but at that point the plant is 100% secured, so they took a risk and they knew that they would be able to get the firefight whatever happened. What a way for Oxygen to open this engagement. And SSG, well, they found themselves lost in space.
Now the castle's being brought out for this strategy. One of them has been located on that top floor to guide a potential player inside of Freezer, making sure that he's not as vulnerable from the skylight as he might be. So the other one is at the reading room entrance just to slow down the attack a little bit, because as we just saw, they were very quick. So slowing them down is definitely not a wrong idea here to try and play into the space station. You have to keep in mind as well, though, there is going to be a sledge available. Easily going to be able to dispatch these castle barricades. Just a swing of the hammer. So, got to make sure that they are at least a bit contested or protected to not give Fox a free rein.
All the way to the top. He heads up, starts hammering down the hatches. I said this could be the way that a lot of teams have their initial ingresses. They look towards red. They look towards the new balcony. They start with that little bit of solid ground. You can clear yourself a pocket and a package of space that is so vital to get into a map that is otherwise pretty aggressive all across the board. Okay, they just demonstrated that they could find their way to the heart of the site and get the diffuser down without anyone even noticing. They don't even have to play Splinter Cell. They're just in this situation of we are already behind enemy lines, and look at that pace and look at that response. Rampy heads down pillars and gets himself back to another problem-causing position now, and that is going to give a bit of food for thought as those gridlocks, well, they just sort of sit there, not really being able to do what they were supposed to.
And they were supposed to stop a flank, but that won't stop Rampy from getting the kill and jumping all the way back down. Still two men on the top floor. Rampy rotated back up from the white stairs, and now we'll be playing around Cocktail again with Bosco on the cover. Has the FMG rather than the M59 shotgun. Thinking they probably the one that did the householding together with Canadian with the Super Shorty. Vertical in the meantime, however, is already pretty deep in. He's below at the museum entrance. Has the opportunity to go deep if, well, it will be guided by these drones. Kino in the meantime will be opening up into Fireplace as well. Having the, well, possibility maybe if they get wide control to go for a quick plant.
Well, it's just peppering pre-angles to see if anybody from SSG wants to swing around. They have the man advantage, which is a very important part of how you want to set up for your trades on these quick, aggressive, open areas. You're never truly safe on this site, on this push past Fireplace. You have the angle that could obviously come around from Zulu in the back of pillars, which we know is a pressure point. There's this altercation here happening around the bottom of white, not detected. And Fault gets a freebie against Fox there, able to then put himself into this position. As I said, it's always so close to danger, this site. You put the diffuser down, that 7 seconds feels like 700 because of the multiple ways they can lock you down. But, well, you need one, you pull back, and OXG have found themselves completely out of space here. Canadian with one more, almost pulling back from what was a complete sweep in the first round to a response sweep of their own. 20 seconds. One is gone from a deep grenade from Vertical, but with the man cleaning up in the back of the laundry, the canister pushes them deeper and deeper, but you're in the middle of a bit of a tight ship there.
There we go. He tried to go for a bit of a Yana trick, you can almost say, which is activating the Gemini, but deactivating it right before he deploys the Gemini replicating clone. And just ran himself. He's like, maybe they're not going to shoot me because they think I'm going to be the clone and they're going to be holding for me to actually peek. However, not the case. Got shut down straight away, and it is a 1-1. We are equalized. Let's see. Yeah, Space Station is going to be able to give up more of these rounds as it looks like Kitchen Cooking and Services the sites again that we will be going to. Valkyrie again being brought out here by Rampy, but they have to be careful to not yet again be subject to the quick rush we saw from Oxygen.
You don't pull that off 2 times in a row.
No.
Theoretically,
You shouldn't.
okay, theoretically,
Pulling that off
you
twice in a
don't
row.
pull that 2 times in a row. You don't go for it twice in a row, and if you do, you generally don't land it twice in a row. But if you do, I mean, you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
That is at that point the defenders completely being unaware, which SSG, they're not that sort of team. They had a bit of a rude awakening, but they're a team that can bring themselves back around, try and get the intel and observation around that they need to limit it. They have pretty much the same lineup as they had before, I believe. It gives them, I guess, a bit more of an idea. Again, the gridlock, I think she can have great play here. The Nomad Band came through from Oxygen. This is that replacement. This is who else they can put in that situation. A lot of noise can be generated from those to cover potential plants. You have the smokes too to cover potential plants or sight lines and eye lines, which is what builds Kafe into a massive problem space.
It's not that we see gridlock very often, so very fun to see her into play for once. We haven't seen the track stingers into big effect yet, but surely that will come sooner rather than later, because if you manage to put them down and they're not directly being contested, it will become a huge problem. They start duplicating until at some point the entire hallway is going to be filled up with these tracks. And if there is a player near, of course they can shoot the first initial one or one of the first two, and in that case there's nothing happening anymore. So it is very important for Oxygen to deploy these when there isn't that much pressure on the sides or on the room that they are throwing these tracks in, but it's still important to keep them down just to make sure you have the flank watch ready. And as we talk about that, Fultz dropping through the hatch as a bit of pressure was coming down from the men down on the white corridor.
Yeah, very different approach here from the top. They're seeing if they can pull apart those bodies, but SSG aren't going to take this as a firefight from range. Instead, they're kind of baiting and biting and then saying, okay, now we can fall back, freeze a hatch. They've taken a drop there. That's open. That's a bit of utility that's actually into the pockets of OXG. Saves them needing to crack that themselves, but also causes some curious problems later. A minute 30 and all the 5 bodies are finally on the ground floor. Look at the spread, though, that they have and the spread that OXG is having to try to match as they steadily drone out. It's going to be about 20, 30 seconds of opening up angles as they clear what is an attempt at a pocket of space before those smokes pop out. Those attempted grenades to try and catch underneath, and well, then you've only got about 20 seconds to get your diffuser down.
Fox could have had the opportunity to try and maybe go for the kill there as one of the nitros is being put out. I think if he's looking into prep, you might be able to just see him. Or is he around the corner? I'm not quite sure. No, he's around the corner. Never mind. Thought he was playing inside of prep, but just outside. Thinking Nate is safe for now. And as this is a more strategical, more methodical approach, you can almost say. It is Oxygen that is being slowed down quite a bit, and with only 40 seconds left, there's going to be quite some pressure coming down.
Bosco has the angle on the hatch drop too, so he's waiting inside VIP for somebody to dabble down dangerously, and here it comes. This is the moment with the camera there. There's the flick round, there's the canister, and that's going to stop them going through that closed door there. Perfectly played through the drone hole, and with the cover coming over the top, you can see that Yoga's going down the main stairs to try and offer some protection on the back line. Everything is starting to pop off. There's the grenades and the shepherding, and there's a man who somehow crept his way into a close space, but keep an eye on that timer on the top. It will just take a little bit of aggression for them to start and spark some life back in, though. Kino, he gets locked out just as he couldn't quite make it land. It's a quick pick back up. Can you hold F? You can. But now you need the cover coming from all opposite sides. Everything
He gets it.
Comes through for SSG at the end there. And as I said, as they started that approach, time is going to be the factor. And SSG timed it well.
It was indeed, and well, they managed to get it back down vertical right onto the plant again, and Rampy then waiting to the very final couple of seconds from the freezer, able to pick up that final kill. 1v3 clutch that was. Unfortunately for Oxygen, no one holding that back anymore, and I'm not sure if there was any tracks deployed. It doesn't look like it, so the flank was able to happen, and it came through in the end. Really like the determination, you have to say, though, on Oxygen. Like, there was so much utility being tossed at them, smoke canisters, nitros, but they just kept on sticking it. Like, make sure that we get this plan down. And purely that is, like, partly due to the fact that there is not that much time, but also due to the trust in your teammates that they will be there to cover you if someone does manage to swing out in the end. And if you get the diffuser down, but you lose your life right after that due to the smoke canister or a nitro, it doesn't matter because the time will be in your favor. Of course, you'd rather be alive to take the gunfights and help your team win that round, but that objective is the most important part in that situation. When there's only 10 seconds left, you want to get it down. You do not want to go for these gunfights in that case when you do not know where they all are.
To the top we go. Bar, which is for a lot of other places and teams the first pool site that you set yourselves up to, but it gives you that intel and that knowledge. Everything sort of happens around the top here. You can have the angle that we see right underneath the feet of Canadian, ready for C4s to swing up from below. It gives you that perfect swoop through, but that's assuming the gate is gone at that moment in time. Otherwise, all you really do is burn both 2-bits utility in one moment. Here, though, look at the pace that's coming through from OXG. They're quickly trying to clear that pixel angle out. They blow the Goyo that is that bit of back recourse inside the bathroom. We can hear all of it starting to encompass this Goyo, who has found himself exceptionally caught out.
A grenade being used indeed, and he is stuck in Pixel, but as long as he has Rampy on the white stairs, he should be fine, because there's no way that an angle can be gained from that window. And as Canadian now putting down some pressure from below as well, it is going to be Laxton that has to hold of the angle, so we're a bit of in a cold war right now, right? They know someone is repelled up there, they know someone is sitting in the Pixel corner, but there is cover from either side to make sure that nothing will be happening to either. Let's take Nate almost loses his life right there.
That was to his shield. It got popped from the push over on Cocktail. Nate somehow survives another one, but it's Fox that locks it off, holding on the angle. Canadian's still waiting with the possibility of a jump out. Might try and hold it a bit longer. If he hits it, he has the escape to the bottom of white. He has that as an option, but has instead opted to go somewhere else instead. Redirect his focus towards the bottom of red here. He can still cause massive problems. We saw the angles were opened up previously. It gives you those sight lines through onto Cigar. If somebody's not expecting it, it can entirely take the wind out of the sails, especially as that first bit of pressure has come towards Cigar, come towards Pixel. It's opened a bit of a flat point of Ingress now as they steadily drone themselves around the corner. There's a new body inside. And actually, no, they're going to pull back towards Lumber instead of taking the fight, instead of doubling up. They're saying, well, we have this back line. Let's let them try and break it.
Some of the evil eyes you just heard them. Zeb got taken care of as Fultz now will go down 5v3. This is the upper hand here for Oxygen as they pick up yet another kill. It is going to be up to Bosco though. Drops the diffuser, goes for 2. We'll be able to get that one as well. It's only up to Canadian now from below. Has a bunch of verticals to play with, but no denial. He doesn't have a C4, of course, as he is the Aruni. Needs to rotate up. Dustin, with 40 seconds left on the clock, it's plenty of time for Oxygen to try and get that defuser down. Gets flanked by Foxe and will drop as a result. Oxygen able to pick up round number 4. Leaves us in a 2-2 stall still. Equalized. It could be in anyone's game here. Depends on who will be trying to win this first half, but if we continue as we currently are, we might be finding ourselves in a 3-3.
I mean, it's been back and forth, that's for sure. You're sort of looking at how things have been working on the attacks. The defense is, you know, it's bounced between 3 different sites now with a little bit of a taste. I'm still curious to see what we can get out of this gridlock. I know you always zero in on an operator that you don't see as much across, and she has, on paper, huge sort of windfalls and huge sort of possibilities. Oh, vertical. Let's see how that goes too. It can work. This is a good map for it, and it's not just for hatches. Getting to the top and taking people by surprise is often the most used thing, as in you get to the top of the building, get to Skylight, and catch somebody who doesn't expect you to be up there within 10, 15 seconds.
Which game was it in EUL? Navi versus... was it Train Hard?
It's usually a French team.
I'm not quite sure, but they went up through this hatch, planted the hatch down into A-bomb site, I have to say. I'm pointing at the screen, but of course you guys will know.
Navi versus Train Hard. Yeah, inside the...
yeah, behind the A-bomb, and then we saw, you know, the attempt of trying to get it, but there was 4 bodies right on the diffuser while it was being... So they didn't know that the defuse actually came down, but it allows for a very quick play right here, and that is maybe what Oxygen is looking for if they get the opening, or if they get the information. It's either of those two. You need to have a little bit of the upper hand if you want to pull this off.
I mean, if they stack entirely white here...
It does look like it, but look at the defense. There's a lot of them not located around the white area, but Fultz is in a very good spot because if they want to use that hatch, you'll go for the repel up. Takes down 1, goes for the second, but he's going to be allowed to jump back in. Not going to be able to get that second kill, but still a very good opening right here for Spacestation Gaming as he gets replied to.
Dropped on the pickup by Vertical, who got himself into the position he needed to. Headed up slow and steady and brings the body balance back into a balance. Looking for a camera, but I'm not sure if there is one on that side. It's generally more internal. Still will cause problems as time goes on, and is cautious on the approach and the possibility of somebody hopping out for revenge. The gridlocks and the stingers go deep as the tracks cover the bottom of the red too, so they can start giving a bit more pressure towards the side itself, open up these angles without somebody being able to at least stealthily climb up towards you, as Yoga is the one making his footprints steady and spread out across the top floor.
Just trying to find an opening somewhere as they have a one-on-one trade, but so far not really going to be able to find anything. Bosco, I believe, might have been hurt right there as he did take a little bit of a step back, but he has to be careful. Flashbangs are coming in. He's in a really good spot right here to try and make something happen. Canadian from below. He's going to be able to take down Vertical as he repels in, and right now I see 4 kills comes down into Yoga as well. It's only up to Kino, who manages to pick up 1 and turns it into a 1v3, but with 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. It's plenty of time to work with, just not really the manpower you would like.
Yeah, they generally have a great idea of where you're coming from. You can see that Alder is prepped to swing on this corner with Rampy there to offer the double up from underneath. Either way, this is generally going to go against him. Suffers on the back, tries to dig deep, but Rampy's there to lock him off, and it was pretty well played there. The early aggression, the response out, almost got the double, but did the smart move and didn't try and stick it.
Yep.
Pulled their way back inside and sort of almost caught a breath of fresh air. There it is. Dropped, went, okay, I'm low on bullets, though, that positioning there.
That's it, right? There was no way he was going to be allowed to go back up there, because with the Amaru, they would already be in position to try and challenge it, and well, that's basically the only thing we've really seen from Amaru, because the second time we saw her, that was when she flew into the window and got taken down by Canadian with the Aula that was waiting underneath the new hatch balcony. So, unlucky there for Oxygen. They had a plan, they were just not allowed to execute it, as Spacestation Gaming was all over it. And now they are leading Spacestation 2-3. Choosing to go to the mining and dining room. Let's see if they are going to be allowed to pick up a 4th rounder of it. Oxygen is going to be trying to at least draw this out to a 3-3, because they had the initiative with a very, very quick first round, we have to say. A beautiful rush coming in that worked into perfection. But since that, it's SSG that really has been able to fight back and has been prepared and aware of whatever Oxygen tries to bring.
Back up to the top with the extensions, the castle, to give them that little bit of solidity inside a hold. A team that is known for being able to bring those sort of structures and constructions inside of their setups here. And Kafe is a fantastic map for construction. Yep. I think it's one that is still always developing. It's still finding its sort of face. It has a lot of big angles, big plays, and big potential, but also you can really shepherd teams. You can create your own play spaces from the setup of the sort of boxy nature that Kafe is, the slightly non-parallel construction across every single floor. It gives you great freedom if you're creative.
Let's see, it's Canadian roaming around with the UMP, but of course a pulse scanner as well. As it active right now, might be guiding his teammate Bosco into a potential C4 kill, as he was close for a while. Not quite sure if he still is. Hoping to get a bit of a pick, but at least for now, feeding the information out to the rest of his team and telling them where they're trying to go for. And as Bosco is playing in trains, he might be the first contest point here for Oxygen, who are looking to set themselves up for a B bomb site plant.
Well, with eyes towards, you can still hear those track stingers going off yet again, trying to buffer and blow to the space that is otherwise being attempted to be controlled here. It's flooded. Cigar, and the top is all under their favor. Drones are kind of making their way across this big no man's land where they're just going to try and scream through and double down on the man hopped up. It's a canister that pops off, but so does Yoga. Takes care of Nade on the spin. Vertical survives most of a C4, but with that little burst of aggression, they've gone all the way clean across the no man's land. There's still pressure from underneath, sure, but it was a very aggressive and clean take.
And do have that control now, but that's only step 1 of the attack. They still need to go to the first floor, and as Fox says, he's now starting to open up some verticals. It is Bosco that has a very important role to play. He needs to make sure that this nitro will stick. He needs to make sure that they at least manage to get the trade down, and preferably make sure that there is no more vertical angles to be created, because as he falls back right now, the B bomb site just becomes a little bit weaker to hold, because if they do manage to overrun this, if they do manage to dislocate Bosco, this might just as well be a quick plant that comes down from Oxygen.
Concerned about the intel that's being put away. It does open the angles for that. The grenade rolled deep. Hot pings consistent as he's well aware he's in a pressure situation. They're sort of saying, look, you gotta leave, mate, because we want this territory. And, well, otherwise that happens. There's the double for Yoga. The blue bodies have entirely encircled the train room, but they're not settled with that. Kino, one more locks off and tries to stick it behind the mining room as the swing comes up the top. A great strike with only 14 seconds. Another one for Canadian, the most important double he'll have so far today. But it's only just starting. 5 seconds left. They find themselves with that box back in their hands. Go for another stick. They have the cover. The rotation is there. Almost pulled off a hell of a clutch, but Oxygen, they reconvened and had a bit of a better idea on where he was.
Managed to pick up the down onto the Yana, but was unaware of the feed hole they created themselves that led back to eventually shut him down. And then we find ourselves in a 3-3 split. Oxygen able to pull that round away as they did manage to get the very early entry. Then they managed to get Bosco as well as he tried to rotate backwards. After that, as SSG tries to retake the side to make sure the plant won't happen, most of them will fall. Canadian tries to make the clutch stick, but doesn't get further than 3. 2 more he needed to find, or just a diffuser, and that would have been his round. But we are going for the swap right now. It is going to be Spacestation Gaming onto the attack, and at the start of the event we saw them doing really well on defense. Now, they were struggling a little bit on the attack. Of course, that has changed in the meantime as Canadian has, you know, fit himself a little bit better into his original role. The leadership really showing that he brings, and it is up to that now to see whether or not Space Station can make their attack stick here against the defensive of Oxygen, because Space Station is still very not secure of an actual spot in the playoffs. They could be going home if they don't manage to win either of their games today, or any of the 3 games today. I believe this is the first out of 3. Is it the first out of 2? I don't know. I'll check in a second.
All right, well, you do that. I'm going to talk about a few things. First off, the Lion is on the board. We're looking at a team that has set themselves up for some quick aggression. They haven't bought all the possible frag grenades. Instead, they've doubled down with Iana bringing smokes instead. Great to burn through utility, but I love the control of intel that the defenders are playing here. They fully locked Freezer. They haven't left it open with the angles around the back of VIP, but that combination, the Vigil, the Mute, and the Mozzie, which we're seeing played so perfectly together for a lot of teams' defenses, just severely limits the intel that a big intel team can usually pull together. It's going to mean that the Lion is slightly less effective. Not entirely ineffective by any means, but if you're playing close to one of those jammers, if you're in one of those tight situations, slightly less effective alongside, obviously, the Vigil. It gives you a bit more presence and a bit more kind of, I guess, ability to respond in negative ways. They went for this full information trust, and that is what is being broken apart right now.
Okay, so Space Station do need to win either this game or the one against NIP, which was, of course, a rematch of the SI 2020 Grand Finals to make sure they are going to the playoffs. But besides that, you see a bit of a Maverick doing some work. Whilst Yoga tries to go for a vertical, he gets pressured himself as well, and that's only logical because very often we do see defenders setting up right above this breach just to make sure that you can counter, you can try and contest the breach and the potential plant that would come through as well. And of course the response of the attackers will be to try and at least get control of the mining room and maybe even train, as a smoke canister is being used there to try and slow down Bosco.
Didn't quite catch him though. You could see he moved away to make sure he didn't suffer any of the ill effects, but is able to get in, get that wall done, and with Buck working on the back side, that is a big angle. It opens up and gives you the freedom towards the red corridor, around the back line of the site. It's not opened as of yet, but it's very easy too, as the first E1D pops off. They want to swing. They get the only blip from the brown stairs as they try and go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's the Gemini that catches one of them, but another canister over the top, and that is, I believe, all of them gone. Yeah, he's only got to play with the guns, and Canadian is the first to suffer. Another E1D goes off, covers the pinch around. He wants to open the man up, and it's a skeleton key that is the key to his heart. As now with 30 seconds, the push comes through, picking him back up.
Need to grab that diffuser again. There is no more smokes as Kino has died, and if you're looking at the denial that is still left, it's just a nitro cell that Foxa has available to him. Now the question will be, are they going to be able to win these gunfights? Gemini Replicator going deep will be spotted out and taken care of, but a lot of information will be gifted to the hands of Spacestation Gaming. A nitro will pop. That's the last piece of denial, but they're not going to be able to make a stick. Vertical able to pick up one as Tinkinay tries to make sure that they retake the top floor control, I believe. Plant will go down. Vertical able to pick up one, but not even. Rampy, final kill to come in. Space Station are able to make it stick right here. After a lot of smokes, a lot of baited utility.
Did he just skeleton key into the...
I think he just did, but the thing is, the Jaeger came around the corner and started spraying with the 416. So at that point, when you have that skeleton key, it's just, well, I wouldn't say spray and pray, but you know he's there, so you're gonna be able to catch him nonetheless.
Two skeleton key kills in a single round, though, is a hell of a way to
one was by a grenade, actually.
A site. There was the opener one, and then there was the one in the end.
Oh, I thought you meant the one on the breach, the smoke.
Yeah, that was...
He was killed by a grenade.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it's just perfectly timed. All right, well, either way, Reading Room and Fireplace, they're going to not opt for the same defensive site. It was very well picked apart by SSG. The Maverick is staying with us. And it's... You know, it worked very well. They were able to get open what they wanted to. They made sure that they had the cover to do it too. You could see SSG cleared themselves just the pocket of space. They didn't feel like they needed to divulge too deep into Kafe.
Yeah.
They locked off mining and dining, or mining, even just mining above. They pushed that pressure of Yoga away slightly further with the Vigil, and then they said, right, well, get the wall opened. Okay, we got about a minute 10. Let's start trying to find those picks. Let's start kind of going a little bit wider on the angle, swing just a little bit more. They got the opener, they got their man back up, and then they just sort of went, right, well, man advantage, let's get in and get killing.
All right, well, the second half has started with a ground for Space Station Gaming, and let's see how many more they're going to be able to get. Because it was a really good execute actually coming down. They were right on the time management right there. They made sure that they baited out all the utility early on, so they didn't really have to worry about it. Used their smokes for the execute in the end, and of course managed to get the final kills through. However, new site, new round. Everything is going to be different again, as we will be, of course, seeing the top-down approach coming down from Space Station just a little bit. The question here will be, are they going to be able to find these opening kills again?
Quick to the top there as they're cracking open the back side of Cocktail to see if they can get any angles on anyone that might be a little bit too close here too, as they want to make sure that their presence is known. Now, XG aren't biting this time. They've gone for a slightly different setup. They still have that sort of dedication from Mute, but at the same time, it's way more built around stemming and slowing the approach of SSG. They want to be a bit more stoic, so they've brought these heavy lay kind of gadgets and utilities from Goyo and from Malusi. It will give the game away of SSG's push. And, well, SSG, they kind of give it themselves. They're not subtle. They say, well, this is what we're taking next. Try and stop us. And so far, XG, they're not trying. They're going to let it cook for a little bit. Let it see if it can become a bit more delicious for them to finally take a bite out of.
All right, 1 minute 30. The time is slowly running out, and Space Station do have the majority of the top floor control. Not quite sure if members are still left near Cocktail, but it doesn't seem to be mattering so much. They're trying to take care of some of the utility, missing the Banshee there if that was the eventual target, so we'll have to redo that a little bit. Oh, there's a member right there. Are they aware? Yes, it seems like they are. Foxe might be in danger right here if he moves not fast enough quickly. Gets spotted out by the drone, but he's still alive for now. Needs to be careful, though. He will be contested.
Yeah, Bucks opened the wall. They're popping flashes around. The E1D doubled down too, and they knew where he was. His number was sort of already taken at that point. They had the combo of utility, and they had the push presence to make sure they could make it matter. But look at this now. Quick is how they're starting to acquiesce. They see a bit of a room, but a blue body is in the meantime rotated up towards heaven. They're looking to try and swing and pull back just at the right second. There's another up there too, but they just headed down to the washroom. It's OXG. They sort of said, right, 30 seconds, we might be able to get back up. We know where SSG are. We've dabbled with some danger on pillar. The hot ping comes through. They were well aware the whole time, but look, in the meantime, Kino's dropped Canadian. Another ping comes around. They're trying to stick the diffuser closer and closer onside Fireplace, but have found themselves a little bit limited by this body on the top. So Rampy has had to go back round, try and offer some cover, try and offer something back against this verticality that has become theirs. Vertical gets dropped, and they dig themselves in from a point that there was otherwise never pressured before. The skeleton key cuts across. There's a triple kill for Kino, and there now is a man trying to stick a diffuser. He's well aware the time is covered. There's one more body inside. He's on the only bit where he couldn't get the clean shot there, so it's a slow clear. Who is going to hear who first? Down deep, down, cut in half. A quad kill for Kino, looking for the ace. He doesn't know! The Fultz had gone back to the back of the room and sets himself up at the head seat of the dining table.
The lack of information right there. He wasn't able to stop the plant from happening because he first thought it was going to go through in reading. As he finally realized that was not the case, didn't think about potentially whipping out that shotgun because you don't know what you're facing. You could just, well, have someone around the corner with that automatic rifle trying to take you down. And a quad kill is all that he manages to pick up, but he gets very close right there for Oxygen. And even though it didn't start off properly here for Spacestation Gaming, they're able to get back into it. And now, Reading Room Fireplace, again the site that Oxygen will go to. The ace is being brought out rather than the Maverick for Bosco. And now, Space Station Gaming have the opportunity to set themselves up for a match point. Not just one, but 3 in total. And if they manage to get this one, they are trying, or at least getting a step closer to securing themselves for the playoffs, because they would keep Oxygen down below them.
Bomb located by attackers.
Space Station. You will have to fight to defend your title. Where will you end up? Because it's still all up in the air. Are you going to be able to... Like, everybody is basically on 3 points in Group B at this very moment in time. And
there was a possibility of a 5-way.
Yeah, not even... I think a 7-way tie was even on the thing for just a little while on the group. So, of course, in the end, we could end up with that 5-way tie. And then the whole tiebreaker system comes in because A wins over B, and B wins over C, and C wins over D and E. And, you know, everything happens, and it's just all... like mathematical equations that are coming out until we finally decide who would be going through. Of course, both these teams want to fight for a top 4 spot because it gives you the extra life. And Space Station have the opportunity to start it off with a good win right here.
All right, a different style of hold is what we're seeing right now. They've set themselves up across the top. They're going to be a little bit more matched aggression to what was potentially the entry of SSG, who have opened up and sent themselves down with the Gemini to get the clear read on where Jaeger is. There they are. And there's Oxygen. They're on the top floor this time round. Last time you had a bit of an easy take, and they're going to make sure that it's not the same. Slow them a bit earlier. Waste a bit more utility earlier on in the pockets. You pushed them to the brink before, but it was down to an almost ace clutch from Kino. It's nothing that you can really rely upon, but they know that they have the possibility to, again, cause more problems a little bit earlier on in the round. They're still sticking together. They know SSG are a very tight team. They can get a read on somebody and then set up 3 bodies in a position to try and spark them from wherever they run to. So, have the cover, have that trade situation ready to go at a moment's notice. But look at the time difference. They're only first getting their feet inside the building with 1.5 minutes gone. They were inside across the total of the top floor and putting pressure onto mining by this point last time.
It's a bit slower indeed, but Fultz playing close. Waiting around the corner, waiting for some smokes. It's a Nitro that just got tossed up, so he now knows that one is around the corner, but the shield is going to be given away. The position there, and Laxing gets the opening kill, able to take down Fultz. It's what Oxygen needs right now. Second drone will be coming in. A lot of pressure, of course, will be now on his focus, on his doorstep, because they want to get that refrag in. They want to get control of trains. But that shield really blocking the potential here.
Well, there's Rampy above, trying to find that angle, but he's otherwise slipped away as the Goyo gets dropped too. They're putting full pressure on a man who slipped past. He's on the other side of a soft, I believe, just on the opposite corner, and he might find himself being opened up in just a moment. No, it is reinforced, thankfully. Couldn't quite see it from up there, but those little tough-to-spot X's, they're keeping him safe and secure, at least for this moment in time. But 30 seconds, that is the big be-all and end-all right now. Canadian tries to pop that Belusi with the Gon 6. It goes, as does the camera on the 90 corner. starting to fall into their favor just a tad. Laxing's going to keep Fireplace locked. And I think SSG might have read that just a little, trying to dig themselves down that center corridor with Fox A getting one more. Rampy's gone, another E1D, but all it can really do is stop the pickup on the next swing round. There's one swung. I think that was close corners from Laxing. Canadian gets the cover, but it's picked up in the end. Can't go that way, got to go the long way round. Cooked in the Fireplace and burnt in the flames. Kino. Well, he couldn't lock off the last round, but he makes sure he gets the double this time.
I really like the setup we saw there. We see the smoke playing, or the mute, I must say, playing in the corner of Fireplace behind an indestructible piece of a wall. There is a mute jammer underneath as well, so there's no way that the ace is going to be able to open up from trains into dining. And of course there is some few holes punched, some angles being made, which he can use to swing out. But as soon as the pressure is coming down on the 90 hallway, a smoke canister is being tossed in, right at the spot where he's not taking damage. But it makes sure that there is no way that any potential challenge from the attackers can arise onto the spot. That was being played right there. So very well played there by Oxygen. Really like the setup they were dealing with, and it basically forces the attackers to either be very quick with their time so the smoke canisters run out at some point, or they need to go for a reading push because there's just no other way around it. You're not going to be able to go and push through the 90 hallway there. So well played. Nice setup. We're going back downstairs now. We're not seeing bar cocktail. No, we're going kitchen dining, kitchen service first.
This is a very different hold from OXG. The last time we were here, I talked about how they were keeping Freezer locked, but they were trying to keep the intel locked too, and I think they quickly realized that hasn't mattered to SSG. SSG sort of pile-drived their way into the bakery. There wasn't any immediate problems that were caused there. Then they went to their step 2, which was get the lock off inside the mining room, and from that point onwards, they found themselves completely overrun. Here, OXG, they've dabbled in an entirely different setup. Gone is the Mute, Mozzie, and Vigil combination. Instead, it's big intel, big control, and big burn of utility with those Aruni gates. They still have smoke in the hands of Kino, and that is a big bit, but previously, pay attention to how quickly he was having to pop those based on SSG's pressure. SSG won't be able to get a handle as quick as they could before. Now,
a big change we see right here from Oxygen is the fact that they brought a Vigil in round number 7, which was the previous time we played Service and Cooking. That has changed to the Maestro right now, and then the Mozzie has turned into a Rooney. So 2 changes that came through, as you said. But like the Maestro is what I'm looking for. What is he going to do? Where is he going to be trying to set that, like, get these evil eyes to work? Like, there is no more ace, so it has to be for drones, or it has to be for post-plan denial. So again, we need to see these grenades coming in that we have seen them use so effectively well, but this time they cannot really use them on the personnel in that case. So they, utility-wise.
Canadians doubled down into bringing another pair of frag grenades instead of the smoke canisters as before, whether that was meant to or whether that was just getting... Obviously, the teams do their loadouts as they load it at the beginning, so you never really know, but it's always worth mentioning they now have double the amount of fragmentation grenades as they did before, and look at this pressure that they're still trying to apply. The same strikes are happening from SSG. They went with a plan that worked last time, and they're going to try and double down on the same thing here, but as I've pointed out, there is more pressure that's coming from the hands of OXG. They're present inside the bakery. And there's that presence.
That's presence.
Takes out Faults with that Alder swinging around the back of the bakery. They have that rotation open. They want to extend. They want to be a problem. There's the E1D shot from the back behind on the small bake window. The grenade is what locks it off. SSG, they had an idea of where he was, and they made sure that they didn't waste it. A great burn of utility, and now it's just seeing if they can turn up the heat inside the kitchen itself. As we saw and said, they have long angles to work with. These work both ways. Doesn't go for the slip on the man who just tries to clear past, but that'll give them the idea that there's one less person, or at least they're in a slightly new position.
I'm really not sure whether or not I like the castle barricade that has been placed down in Freezer, because it looks like Space Station, as Vertical takes down the vertical angle onto Rampy, is looking to go for a bakery take. That castle barricade might be slowing them down a little bit if they need to do something about it. Canadian, in the meantime, is sneaking in, knows that one is right around the corner, but he has the opportunity to try and make a platform happening, and that's exactly what he's going to do right now under the cover of the E1D and the angles that are being watched by his teammates.
Vertical gets another kill, and they try and start to swan their way up. We saw one body go deep, get the pickup. Now it's just Bosco alone in a post plant. There are 2 people round on the side, so he's going to actually dig in. The first happens, And it doesn't happen for very long. OXG bring themselves back to the ballast and the balance, and we could see as soon as they were getting the idea of the intel coming through at that moment in time, they reacted. They got that one kill on the body that was covering all of the OXG players, started to flood forward. They split themselves. One was going towards the small prep side, one obviously going towards small bake to pick up the man, and ended up getting the kill as well. It was a great response from what, as we said at the beginning, they went for big angles, a big line, and they were able to punish them.
I think one of the statistics worth mentioning here is that only in one of these rounds, the round did not go to whoever got the initial opening kill. That was round number 3. It was a Space Station round. Canadian died first, but besides that, every single time a team managed to get the opening kill, they managed to pick up the round as well, and that puts us at that 90% conversion rate right now overall. So it shows how important it is to make sure that you get that first initial kill. And as we are now finally going to bar stock, it's so ingrained in my head right now. I mean bar cocktail. All right, as we are finally going to bar cocktail, there we go. It's because they don't really have another option, because they already won reading, they already won service. Of course, you could be going for the mining if you really want to, but it seems like Oxygen are more comfortable to go up to the top floor now.
Yeah, lower presence in terms of favoritism this site in the North American region compared to the others. It's one where they feel that, you know, what NA does so well at the minute is heavy setup strategy. They really define the tactical side of this game at the minute. They build and construct a push and a take, and it's all very well logistically worked out. You could put it on graph paper and it would look very, very nice. Is the easiest way of putting it, and this is a site that plays well into the attackers for that. You think of all the window space that kind of entirely encircles and encompasses. You think of the big verticality that can be played inside pillars from somebody who has the idea, which we've seen SSG already have, and we've seen Oxygen already have and utilize. It's tough in the North American region to keep this under a lock when it's so easy from some angles in the hands of talented, tactical and balanced players to just take it all.
Now, out of 44 rounds that have been played on SI so far, 55% of them have been won on bar cocktails, so it is still defense-sided, but it's not the highest percentage actually. Reading Dining currently owns that with a 69% win rate, and that is going to skyrocket a little bit due to the show that we have been seeing today. Of course not updated straight away, and as Fultz is going to be aware of the fact that the bottom floor is majorly clear. He's going to be trying to drone upwards as Vertical gets the first initial kill again. Bosco will drop, and I just talked about the importance of the opening frag for your potential round outcome, and as you do take care of the Maverick, an operator that has 2 grenades available and is the only heartbreach in the hands of Space Station right now, is going to be really helpful, because this forces Space Station to truly go through choke points, which either are going to be Cigar, or they're going to be trying to go for a white take, which is almost never working.
Okay, inside, underneath, and causing problems. That is where Rampy has decided to set himself up. Gets that lockdown with Fultz keeping the white stairs covered to make sure this slow crawl isn't going to be one that ends away from them. It's Kino with a very powerful gun at a close range. Is he going to dabble with danger? He's against Fultz, who is his own terrifying force inside this game itself. No need. With a minute on, they're just going to wait. Whoever has the quickest click on that left mouse button, that might be the one that takes it, pops all the way back up. And yet again, he's keeping the high ground. He's keeping himself in a situation. Scared him off at the pop of a bit of utility. But look at him crawl back down. He still wants this engagement. He still wants to make sure that they don't have that clarity on white. And as he holds in his hand a tool that might make it much quicker, it doesn't quite pop off. But the pressure comes against Rampy in the meantime. So that 30 seconds is becoming dangerous. Claws, creepier, and Canadian with a double. There's the swing, finally. Everything starts to kick up.
Everything starts to kick up indeed, and Canadian now finds himself in a 2v3 situation. Make that 1v3 now as it's only up to Tinking Nade. 10 seconds to try and make sure that you still secure this round. And Fox suffered on the back all the way in Piano. Due to a lack of clear, due to a lack of control here from Space Station, able to get that final kill in their hands, and that is putting Oxygen onto the match point, into the opportunity to close this one out and secure themselves for playoffs, because as we discussed before when we were on the desk during the previous game, Plan A, or Scenario A for Oxygen, will be beat Makers, beat Spacestation Gaming. Well, they did the first one with a 7-0 victory. Right now they have the opportunity to go for 7-5, and it will be Spacestation, who aren't even secured themselves yet, that call the tactical timeout now, because they know that they also need to win this game. They have a matchup, a rematch with NIP as the last game on the Bravo stream today that could decide whether or not they go home or not.
It's not easy. There's no two ways about it. You're looking at a lot of teams juggling a lot of potential as to how they can end their day right now. In SSG, they're one round of having a tense bit of waiting before they find themselves battling against NIP. Otherwise, OXG, one round away from securing themselves. They started as the only team that hadn't secured 2 wins today, and the 2 that they might have taken by the end of this game will secure them some solidity, some comfort with the head-to-head system, and well, it's still, I guess, always the potential of locking and pushing themselves even higher later, but at the same time, it's a hell of an upsurgence from a team that, as we said after the second day, as they said themselves too, this isn't how we play. This isn't how we want to be playing. They've definitely proved that today.
Looking at the rosters here and the live stats, Kino currently leading the charge, 13 on 8. 1.4 rating so far. Of course, we're still not done yet. You can also see that the entries overall have been going into the favor of Oxygen, and again, it will go their way. Now, 6-5. The pressure is on. There is a need to perform now on the hands of Spacestation Gaming, because I'm going to say it again. They're nowhere near confirmed. They need a win to set themselves up to make sure that they stay for the playoffs. Of course, the opportunity is still there that they make it even if they lose both games, I believe, as they have the head-to-head over Giants. But Giants is still going to be playing Oxygen. Luckily for Spacestation, that is, because they are on an absolute tear today and, well, shouldn't be slowing down as they do. They as well want to make sure they secure themselves a top 4 finish for that extra life. However, everything is possible. Maybe Giants will wake up and suddenly show something that Oxygen isn't prepared for. So the pressure is extra on here for Spacestation. They need to get this round to fight for overtime, to get a win in that, to secure themselves to the playoffs. All kinds of different scenarios.
OXG have gone with their plan sort of B here, that extension around the top. Instead of going for that kind of lockdown and trust that the fight will happen downstairs, they've instead opted for that earlier pressure. They're not going as deep by the looks of the hold at the moment, but you never know where they might extend themselves back to. But look at the change here, SSG. They're prepping themselves ready for a quick swing on this Christmas lovely doorway just underneath Heaven Balk. It's sprayed around the corner. They're prepping themselves with the Claymore. I think they've had a couple of moments where they've gotten a little bit deeper into the site than they expected based on just the positionings of everything coming through, and they're kind of prepping for that a little bit earlier this time. They almost had the clutch come through before with the kind of bodies doubled in there. It was the lockout from the other site that was the kind of de facto winner of that time, but this is an entirely different setup right now for SSG in terms of their aggression against this top floor.
Bit of a change in the lineup from Spacestation. It is Bosco that is no longer playing on the Heartbreach, now will be playing on the line. Canadian picking up the Heartbreaching duties. We've already heard some of the Selmas explode in the background, so a bit of an opening is already being created, whereas Oxygen have made a crucial change as well. They're no longer playing a Goya, they're playing a Valkyrie. Extra information will be fed towards them, so they should be aware of where Spacestation is coming from, what their plan is, and as Phils now tries to go aggressive, he might be able to pick up the first kill. But no, not yet.
Can't quite make it. It's Bosco in the meantime that doubles down on White Stairs, gets one, and gets that hold done. And with a minute 10, they have plenty more time now that they have that man advantage. All of the bodies have filtered off the top floor for OXG. They still have at least 2 C4s, or 1 C4 as one just went by the looks of it. It didn't quite do a huge amount. They're looking for the toes of the man beneath, and he suffers, but Foxay slips out from the hands. It's another E1D that pulses off, and it's another moment. But there he is. There's his revenge from the Sledge, who was getting the shots on the toes before, and it's just, okay, where are they going to come from next? They've still set themselves up for the plant towards the default inside the library itself. They're still pushing the Oxygen players further and further away, and that's going to be a way to do it. Allows Canadian to swing in. Look at the close corners here, though. Another moment they wait. That buys them half the plant time, and that buys them a little bit more. SSG flood through, but Foxay gets one back. The verticality's a bit of a problem here, as they still have that loose body on the second story. If they can get some cover, they get deep, but the man close swings. And now it leaves just Foxay. Is able to strike from behind. Might not know there's a second body. Obviously does. Can't quite catch it out. And SSG take us through OT.
We're going to overtime. As I said, they needed to make it happen. They managed to get the entry frag. We know how important it is, and a triple K of Bosco made sure that this went Space Station's way. And now, there is going to be 3 more rounds to be played. It is going to be Oxygen that starts out on the defense, but does it really matter when we have a 6-6 scoreline, when 6 of them were attack rounds and 6 of them were defensive rounds? It's really going to be now who gets into their rhythm the best, who manages to stay calm and collected as we move into these final 3 rounds. Let's go back onto the Maverick right now. Double hard breach setup coming through as Canadian picks up the Termite. Never mind, the Ying is coming out. Interesting. This could be a very quick play if you see the Lion and the Ying combination that they are bringing right now.
Speed has worked for them. Speed has worked for them. And I'm not going to say that they've been too slow, because they haven't. They've always been busy. That's something that you always know about.
They're always working.
They're always working. There's never a little bit of a moment where they're not going towards something, even if it's an entirely new moment, like when we've seen when they lost the opening body when on the kitchen hold, and they went, okay, well, this is Maestro, we need to dig him out instantly. There's 3 SSG players in a position to apply some pressure. They're always moving and manipulating. However, when I'm talking about pace, I'm talking about the times we see them swing into sight with that pressure that they can apply onto a doorway and be deep in and causing problems with intense gun skill from a huge range. That's something that they do so well, and, you know, you're kind of encompassing that build and that structure when you're doubling that with the Lion and the Ying, the Candelas, if played to that, could entirely sweep through.
Now, keep in mind, the last time we were here at Bar Cocktail, it was the Heart Breacher that got taken care of first by Oxygen. They managed to take down Bosco, who was playing on that Maverick, and with that, basically the only way they could really attack from was by taking gunfights on the White Stairs and from Cigar, but as a result, they didn't take control of Piano, which allowed for a late flank from Foxay to get that final kill when it wasn't a 1v3 situation. But they just got to make sure that that doesn't happen again. They need to make sure Canadian now stays safe, who has swapped over to the Heart Breach role in these last 2 rounds. As Bosco tries to go for a bit more of an aggressive playstyle, maybe that will help him to make the difference a bit better.
Well, here comes that wave and that cavalcade of Space Station branded drones. Imagine Esports drone skins. That'd be sick.
That would be sick.
You can have that idea, Ubisoft, because I kind of want to decorate my drones and make them hard to shoot. No, that's a terrible idea. Don't listen to me. Okay, either way, it's a great information game. It is this flat spread. They're looking for any and all points and parts to pull apart as they prep themselves for this approach here. The Goyos in the corner, buried in with the hard wall all the way along that side, ready and electrocuted. Kino's underneath too. They have that C4 hole open that we talked about very early on in the SSG. It's pretty standard, but if it's left unchecked, can be massively problematic for a team that starts to just try and scream their way forward. Volts goes wider, looks towards it, and you can still see that blue body underneath that really wants to suffer just a little bit of pressure, but none of it is coming from SSG. He's going to try and pull it and lock it out. There's still no catch. Though they weren't quite at the right angle, and well, that pops another E1D. Look at Nade, though. He's instantly dropped to watch the cover, and this is what we talked about with SSG. They realize a problem, and they try and stack up to get it fixed sooner rather than later.
Well, the new problem will be that there's only 50 seconds left on the clock. They have 1 E, 1 D to work with and 3 Candela, so they're going to try and make this a bit of a blitzkrieg as there is no other option. Smoke start popping, but Yoga moves through. He's in a really good position right now. Manages to do a lot of damage down to Canadian, but not quite to kill. Gets the second though as Rampy tries to swing him. He's not going to be able to pick him up. 30 seconds and tries to rotate out and succeeds in doing so.
Moving out as Vertical moves into where the smoke canisters were. There's nobody on the skylight, but Yoga is still causing massive problems inside the freezer, cooling off and stopping this approach from SSG before it begins to try and find any way behind that long bar that's seemingly endless to the SSG players right now. They know they really can't get the handle on that diffuser. There is still every Oxygen player left on the board, and well, we find ourselves yet again back on an OXG map point.
One more map point they have available to themselves before it becomes space stations as well. 7-6 current score. Oxygen are leading. Came in flying already with a 7-0 victory over Makers and a round that took about 40 seconds as we entered the map. Now we're heading into yet another match point. Round 14 is where we're currently at, and it will be Oxygen after 7 rounds on the defense to go back to the attack yet once again. See the Gridlock being brought out. We see the Yana. Gridlock and Operator, they have been very keen on bringing every single round, just like the Sledge, the Zofia, and the Thermite. Those are the operators that did not change whatsoever during their previous attacks. And, well, Vertical, the man that is allowed to flex out a little bit, took Dokkaebi once, 4 times Yana, and 1 time Amaru. So he might be going for a bit of a 6-pick, might be going for a bit of a different strategy. We don't know yet. But it's a tactical timeout from Oxygen. Because they are on match point. They still have that tactical timeout. Why not use it now to really discuss what to do on that final attack to make sure it goes your way?
That's it. Attack has been a bit of a tough thing to get a handle on. I think across this game so far, it seems like they're either slipping for something kind of magnificent and everything hits the mark, or one piece falls out of place. And this is across both teams. And then the attack starts to crumble. As you said, the attacking stat and the attacking entry frag has generally gone the way of who wins the round almost every single time.
Yeah.
And
still the case.
Still the case.
Only one of them didn't.
And that's it. And I think that's the main problem that we're seeing for the attackers here, is as soon as one step is out of rhythm, the rest of the attack is generally struggling to try and make sure that they can finish the song and make sure they can get themselves carried over to the end. And I think that's why they're taking a moment. OXG, they're getting their heads screwed together. They're saying, all right, well, you know, we've been able to take an even split. We just have to do it one more time. We have to do what has been pretty tough to do in this game, which is, I guess, keep control.
They're in their attacking half. Oxygen managed to get 4 of the 6 opening kills, and 3 of those were converted. The time they weren't able to convert it was service cooking. So make it that as you wish, as we are going to bar cocktail now. Not gonna step into that twice.
You're obsessed.
I'm obsessed with it. I've become the meme at this point. I'm
You're the only person obsessed with bar stock.
It would be so cool to see it somewhere and see it completely fail, so I can just say, all right, never mind, don't listen to me. Just a caster. What do I know of the game? But either way, what I do know is that we're in a very exciting round right now, and there's a lot of pressure coming down onto Pixel. They need to take care of that shield, and they'll surely do so in just a couple of seconds, but a lot of ADSs there will be stalling a lot of the utility.
Canadian is hopped up, ready on the window to do a jump out as well, but look at the other bodies of Rampy, who's gotten himself into an aggressive position too. Laxing's still covering for this, and there's the cover. Does it quite make it? No! Oh yeah, it comes round on the door. It was Foxe that in the end was the one able to actually get the kill. They had a bit of extra surprise, and I said that there's another man going loose. False went for the 3-story attempt there. SSG, they said, well, we're watching it. Let's try and be the man behind the man behind the man. But there was another man. There was another problem, and they couldn't quite get the lockout, and now that is 2 bodies in the favor. big risk, and this time for SSG, no reward.
Very risky play indeed, trying to go for the double jump out. They knew one was going to be watched, but they had the opportunity to potentially pick two up with the second player. However, Laxing, aware of that, able to get the man that ran out from the bakery. And instead of a single opening kill, they now have two. And they still have 90 more seconds to work with, but Bosco finds a response. It's Kino that will go down. It's your heart breach and your diffuser dropped cold on the ground. And someone will have to go and recover that within these next 70 seconds and make sure that plant will go down still.
You can see the bodies are prepping themselves on top of that skylight. They just want one more SSG player to get a little bit looser. They don't have any frag grenades left in their pockets, but they do have those bolts in Vertical's crossbow. Those can really just alleviate a lot of the stress. It's Laxing that's holding it, and, well, Vertical's holding nothing else. Tried to swing with a diffuser, and there's one more that goes the way of Bosco. Is keeping himself locked up in the core of this flat fight now that's steadily spreading all the way around him. The peak on the side of the shield, it's otherwise still just a big problem in the guns and what is left behind for Oxygen to try and clear as Fox A goes for a different point of entry. Creeps steadily underneath, drops the camera. They're well aware he's there, and Rampy is able to take one more body. Yoga has dictated that I'm going to take this space, drops one, got taken from the back, and it's just Fox A, but no! SSG! They trusted that back line after the incident at the start, and they drive us to what is another Max OT game.
All right, it was a double opening kill right here, and this is also the second round in this entire matchup where the opening kill does not decide who wins the round. Space Station able to fight it back. Space Station able to fend off the attack. And now themselves are going to have to close it on that half. They need to close it on the attack themselves. And Kitchen Servers and Kitchen Cooking will be the side that Oxygen decides to defend. Again with the Maestro, Aruni, and the Castle. As it worked out once before, I believe it did. Going to try and make sure that that is going to be a second in a row. As Bosco swaps out, again, the Yin coming out. So the Candelas is really something that they try and focus on. Not that we have them seen them being so successful in the last time.
Now, did we even see them go off?
I think just got killed before we even got the opportunity to toss them in.
I don't remember that very
Bosco was the opening death
sound. I don't think they actually got a chance to utilize them before, so they're going to see if they can make Plan A happen this time instead. They still have the pairing with the line. They still have that way of getting in quickly and causing problems. We're seeing the OXG's second hold, the one that was successful, down in the kitchen where they went for that extension into the bakery with the Maestro. They have that mobility to kind of play around these huge angles that they're creating for themselves all the way from the back of the kitchen, all the way from Sink and Coffee, all the way across to the other side of bakery. Freezer, I'm assuming, is half open as well, at least, so they have the angle and the drop on the hatch, but can SSG find the read? There it is, two angles actually, the feet and the heads.
This round is for so much more than just this match win. Because if Space Station win this one, they are secured and Oxygen is still at risk because they will be playing Giants for the battle to be sent home. If SSG loses this and Oxygen wins this, then Space Station will still be playing against an IP, and they are also having Oxygen to rely on to beat the Giants either way. Will be a little bit safer in the loss situation than Oxygen, but still not safe at all. Could be going home. And thus this round is literally who will be safe, who will be staying, at least certainly, for the 6th Invitational playoffs phase of the tournament. And as Space Station Gaming is going for a quick top entry, they need to make sure that they quickly work their way down as we're all the way on the first floor. Rampy will be doing so by just tossing out some quick drones, and well, the information is very crucial for them to have at this point in time.
All the OXG bodies are spread out all the way across this ground floor. They've occupied themselves in each their own space surrounding the site itself. They have that chance to crack their way back in, and there's no quick pace push coming from SSG, so they're not going to be punished via the same way that they've punished the team that they're up against at the very opening of this game in the opening 20 seconds. But that in no way means that SSG are in a position now to start steadily applying that pressure. make them have these more uncomfortable spaces. The rotations will be second guessed. There's C4s in an option in, I think, only Fox 8, unless he's just blown it. There might have been a pre-place, but there it is. Gone, doesn't catch anybody. It's another angle, and now it's just who can try and take that verticality. The clear is coming from Freezer this time. The hatch is open steady, and the fight is going to be in Vertical's hands sooner rather than later.
Need to push through. VIP, a very big contest point. They need to take care of that player before they can really go for the safe drops, and Bosco will want to use one of these Candelas to at least slow him down while the pressure is coming down from the window at the same time. Is this going to be working, or will Oxygen fall? That is the big question right here as 2 Candelas get used.
There it is, the E1D screams off as well. Bosco suffers, and the swing comes around from the backside. Pre-fires, drops the man who could not see anything. Now, they have that man advantage, but they only have 20 seconds as Canadian has dug his way through into the site. I believe they don't know, and the clear is going to come out. There's the backside. Kino gets one, gets dropped from Brown, and suddenly everybody starts to fall. Fultz is taken care of and covered. It's now a 2 versus 2 with all the bodies down, but the diffuser isn't in anyone's hand. It's Nade, and it's another trade. It's another cover. Rampy goes for the stick, goes for the kill, goes for everything. Can't make it connect. Oxygen secure themselves, keep their dreams alive. They have made playoffs, and SSG have work left to do.